just want everybody to know that I went and saw the Wicked like musical last night. It was my entire personality as a child. It's gonna be my entire personality again as a 24-year-old. Hey guys, what's up? It's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, and if you've come back, thank you so much. Today, you guys, I thought we could do something a little bit fun, a little bit different. I know this sort of challenge is usually used to pick people's TBRs, but I thought why not expand upon it and do a bookshelf scavenger hunt for the books that I actually have read. Because you know what? Then I get to talk about the books that I have read. I can recommend some, and we can find some cute little gems. I have compiled quite a few like different questions for this, so I'm sort of excited just to sit, chat, yap, you know, hang out, because I'm lonely today. So basically it's pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna look at the prompt and then look around all of my bookshelves. I have 4 in here, 5 maybe. And I'm gonna see if I can find a book that matches the prompt, and then we can yap and just hang out together for a while. So without further ado, you guys, let's get comfy, let's get cozy, and let's get right on into the video. Also, if you just see me like zipping and munching, it's because it's lunchtime and I should be eating lunch, but I'm not, and I will be afterwards. Anyway, guys, like I was saying, I've got 20 different prompts here, and I'm basically just gonna like go through my list and then see if I can find a book that corresponds on my shelf. Okay, so the first one here that I have is find an author's name or a title with a Z in it. I already can think of one, and I don't even know where I put, oh, it's right in front of me, hold up. Conveniently enough, I thought I would have to like scrounge around for this one for a while, but I think as soon as I heard the author with a Z in their name, this one came to mind. It is the only book that I have read by this author, and I know that she's very, very widely loved, but because it was literally looking at me right next to me as I was thinking about it. I've got The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This is by Mariana Zapata. So for those who haven't heard of this book before, or Mariana Zapata is a romance author, and she is known as like the queen of slow burn. So like her books this is like the slowest of slow burns. I waited, I kid you not, until the last like 10 pages for these people to get together. Like properly get together. Like it was a whole thing. But this one here is a sports romance, again slow burn. This follows Aiden and Vanessa. So Aiden is a football player. He's known as the Wall of Winnipeg. He plays for an American team, though he is Canadian, so he obviously has a visa to work here and play. Work here. I don't live in the US. Work in the US, even though he is from Canada. Vanessa is his assistant. Now, Vanessa has been his assistant for many, many years, and they don't really get along. Aiden is like the biggest grumpy grump. He doesn't even like speak to her that much, and she just thinks that he doesn't even like her. The concept of this book here is essentially Aiden and Vanessa get into this scenario where she says, I don't want to work for you anymore. He doesn't really care. He lets her go, but then a couple of days later, he's like, oh, I actually need this girl. He knocks on her door and he says, I know you're upset with me. I know you don't want to work for me anymore, but I need something from you, and I need you. I need you to marry me. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because this book is so good. This book is like 500 pages. Yeah, 512 or 15 pages. It's so worth the slow burn. The slowest of slow burns, if you will. Sedentary who you are. Well, are. Okay, the next one that I have might take me ages to find, but it's find the oldest book on your shelf. So you guys can't see this too well, but down here I've got like the old Hunger Games, got like Divergent down there. Oh, does it mean like oldest in terms of like the one I've had the longest, or the oldest is in like when it was published? Maybe I can find one for both. Don't ask me why I have this book, because I don't even think I have the intention of ever reading this book. But my mum and I, like when we were younger, watched the miniseries, and she loves this book and she loves this author, and she's read all the books in this series, I'm pretty sure. And I just like loved the miniseries, and I was like, oh yeah, like I might want to read this. I definitely bought this at least 10 years ago. It's very brown and very huge, but it's The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. I don't have any desire to read this. I'm gonna be so for real. However, when is the publication? 1989? Like when Heathers is set? Girl, 1989? Okay, this might be the oldest book that I own. In terms of like publication, I mean, I've got like all the Harry Potter books that I probably bought first. The first like ever books that I think I ever bought were like the Percy Jackson books. They're outside, but I'm gonna assume it means like the oldest book in terms of publication date. So it's definitely this. What I remember from this is, if you can see, Eddie Redmayne's on the front cover, and when I was younger, I loved Eddie Redmayne so much. This is a historical fiction, I'm pretty sure, and it's huge. How many pages are you, darling? Oh my lord, I would never read. I would never. 1,080 pages. It says, set in the turbulent times of 12th century England, where civil war, famine, religious strife, and battles over royal succession lure lives Tore lives, hello, and families apart. The Pillars of the Earth tells a story of the building of a magical cathedral. Yes, I remember that, okay? There's a lot of characters, like a little bit interconnected, you know, stories, a million stories happening at once. It spans like over many, many decades of this building of the cathedral, okay? Will I ever read this? Girl, no, but my mom loves them. And if you guys have read them, wonderful. I just already know what happens for starters, and I just don't see myself ever picking it up. I'm very sorry. Prompt number three, I have a book you've told others to read. Okay, look, that's my job. However, I'm gonna, that's hard. What I'm gonna do for this one is I'm going to actually like maybe look at books that I've told my in real life friends to read. Because look, I recommend books to you guys all the time because you guys are fellow readers, right? You love reading, I'm assuming, I mean, each their own, right? I recommend books to people who read quite a lot, right? Especially on social media and things like that. But what I'm gonna look at is books that I've recommended to my friends in real life who've either like wanted to get into reading or like wanna dabble in different genres. Maybe I'll look at those ones because this year in particular, I've recommended like heaps of books, especially to like 2 of my closest girlfriends, and they've really loved them. So I've got one in mind because I think she loved this one the most, but let me grab it. So this year I've recommended like a few books to quite a few of my friends. One of my closest best friends, Lucy, shout out babes, I love you. She very much like loves the type of romance that I do. Like she loves a spicy romance. She loves like a reverse Grumpy Sunshine too. We found this year, so like, you know, she's read Icebreaker and things like that. But a couple of months ago, I recommended her to read Swift and Saddled by Lila's Age because I think either she picked it up not knowing it was the second one or blah, blah, blah. And I literally said to her, I was like, Lucy, you are gonna love this book. It is so good. If you guys are familiar with this series, it's the Rebel Blue Ranch series. The first one's done and dusted, and then Swift and Saddled, and the third one has just come out called Lost and Lassoed. I wasn't a big fan of Done and Dusted, but Swift and Saddled was like a completely different author had written it, okay? So this is an interconnected standalone. We have Wes and we have Ada. So Ada is an interior designer. She's just got a new job at this ranch where she's essentially tasked to renovate it, do it up so that it can become like a commercial sort of space. A place for people to rent and stay on the ranch, right? In this Rebel Blue Ranch. Anyway, she like rolls into town one night. She's looking for food the day before her job, right? She rolls into town, she's looking for something to eat, and the only place that is open is the Sticky Dive Bar. And she goes in there and she finds out they don't even sell food anyway, so she's like, look, this is so annoying. I'll sit here and do some work on my iPad. Then this like cute little cowboy walks in with his dog and they make eyes at each other, and sort of the whole night Ada's still sitting there like doing her thing and they're making eyes. Anyway, at the end of the night, they finally like see each other, they have a smooch, and then they're sort of like pulled apart. Imagine Ada's shock and horror when she rocks up to work the next day and the guy who she's working for is the cowboy that she smooched last night, okay? This is such a good book. I read it, I gave it 4.75 stars, and then I told Lucy, I was like, please read that like soon, because I knew she just randomly bought it, because she likes to do these things where she'll go out and literally just like pick up a book without even reading the back or something like that. Like she'll just base it off the covers. And I saw that she got that and I said, please read it. She loved it. Like she was sending me a million little messages about it. Like it's just super fast paced, super funny, spicy. It also has like such good heart. I love reverse Grumpy Sunshine, which is, you know, the girl's the grump, the guy is like the happy, larger than life sunshine, and so does Lucy. So yeah, that was a good rec, and I was glad to see like she also felt the exact same way about it. So yeah. There's nothing that can stop you from becoming popular. Lar. Okay. Prompt number 4, we have find a book with a girl on the cover. Okay. I mean, that's kind of very open. I've got a lot. Like just a girl? Like, do you reckon just a girl? Or should we try and get like, I'll see if I can find a book with just a girl on the front cover, and then if not, I'll find a couple. But I actually just thought of one in my brain actually, so maybe that's a bit silly of me, but the only book that I can literally think of with a girl on the front cover is Throne of Glass. Because usually, especially romance books, right, you've either got like a couple or it's just like pictures of a bird or some flowers and stuff. You hardly ever see books with just like a singular character, or you have like a singular man and normally he's shirtless. But yeah, Throne of Glass. As you guys all know what this book is about. It's about Selena Sardothien, who is essentially like plucked from these mines. She, you know, she's a bit of a slave in the mines. She gets plucked from these mines by the royal guard to come and compete in this competition to become the king's assassin. And she's essentially competing against like 12 or 24 other potential assassins to, you know, have the ultimate prize of being the king's assassin. With that, she gets to serve the king for 4 years, and then her like crimes that she's done will be like lifted and she can go and live her life. So yeah, I have only read the first book in this series, as you guys know. I promise I'm gonna do it. I think it's gonna be a 2025 thing. I'm sorry. Anyways, you guys get it, okay? That's a girl on the front cover. And she's got some weapons, some weapons. Do you guys like my nails? I just got them done and I feel like myself again. Like, if you guys have been following me, you'll know that I usually do always have the claws, but I had like a break from them, but I'm just kind of obsessed with them. The next one is find a book that you read last year. I'll try to be quick with this one, okay? Okay, the first one that's like literally staring at me because it was right in front of my face is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I'm hoping this came out last year. I'm pretty sure it did. I should be like trying to time myself doing these, but have I ever stuck to any rules? Ever. Anyway, Iron Flame, it was just staring at me as soon as I turned around, okay? And I knew that I read that last year. This is the second book in the Empyrean series. And what's really interesting about this, obviously, I can't tell you exactly what this is about because it's book 2 in a series. But what's like really interesting about this, and I said it a few times, this book has like a very even split of people who did not like it and really loved it. It was definitely a lot more intense than Fourth Wing was. It's a little bit longer, a little bit deeper, heavier, but I still ate it up. Like, I literally enjoyed this book so much. I read it in like a day and a half and I couldn't put it down and I cried and screamed my head off at the end of it, but I still really liked it. I'm so excited for Onyx Storm. I just made like a list of all the releases coming out next year and that's like one of the first. That's January something, 26th or something, 21st. What's interesting about this book is I feel like it's definitely like a building block book. Does that make sense? Like, we've always got like world building books, but I think there's so many hidden Easter eggs, in my opinion. I think there's so many hidden Easter eggs in this book that will make so much sense in Onyx Storm. I feel like Onyx Storm is going to be a huge book. Like, not in terms of like the size, I'm talking about like actual like revelations and plot development and like all these things. I think Onyx Storm's going to be huge and Iron Flame was the stepping stone. So that's why I still really like this anyways. I don't know. You guys catch my drift? You catch my drift? Okay, prop number 6 is find a book that has an animal on it. Okay, should I try and time myself from now on? Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, let's give myself like 30 seconds to find it because like I feel like that's a smart thing, right? Okay, go. Is there an animal on it? Oh, this is so stressful. Oh, okay, I found it. With literally 5 seconds to go. Okay, that was so stressful. I couldn't think of any book and I just found this. Okay, so that was so stressful. I've got When the Moon Hatched. This is by Sarah A. Parker. This is probably the most like popular romantasy that's come out of 2024. And I read this a couple of months ago now. This is definitely like a high fantasy. Like, I'm talking about like super complex world building. It's kind of crazy. I only just started reading romantasy late last year and this was a lot for me. So I really could not even tell you what this book is about. And I'm being so for real. I could tell you certain scenes from it. I could tell you how this book feels. I could talk to you about the relationship. I could not tell you what like the overall like idea of this book is, because when I finished this book I had to Google what happened at the end. That's how insane this book is. Does that make sense? I'm pretty sure that she's an assassin. There's dragons involved, hence why I said, look, there's an animal on the cover. There's a dragon on the front cover. And look, I've got a t-shirt. If you guys have seen my t-shirt that has Nee, the paper bird, I cried over that bird so much. And look, goldfish brain. In one ear, out the other. We don't know her, okay? This is a good one if you, like I said, really love complex world building and magic systems. I think you will really enjoy this book. The romance in this book is gorgeous. It's devastating. I cried. The spice. This is actually a really spicy romantasy as well, but I couldn't tell you why. I think just go into it blind because Belle doesn't remember. Cut the cameras. Next, a book cover you don't like. Okay. Oh, let's just start the clock. All right. A book cover I don't like, a book cover I don't like, a book cover I don't like. Oh, okay. Actually, this was pretty easy. The book cover that I have is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, but this is like the UK edition. I'm sure there are ugly books on my shelf, but this is the only one that I could think of in such a short time. I despise this book, but I also despise this cover. I think the US cover is so stunning, and I would literally, even though I didn't like this book, I would literally buy this copy just to have that like cover because it's so pretty. But this just like aggravated me, and the cover made it even worse. This, for those who don't know, is like a past, present, childhood friends to lovers. These two have like grown up with each other, and obviously like in the present we now see that they haven't spoken to each other in a certain amount of years. So essentially you are like following their past, present throughout the entire story to see like why they aren't speaking to each other in the present day. This book was doing really well for me, except that there was a trope thrown in at the end that I despise more than anything, and it bumped it down to like a 2-star. It was doing really well. I read it in like a day, but yeah, I got to this part. It was about a 4-star read and then bin material, which is really sad. And the cover doesn't help either. It's literally got like 2 people just sitting on the floor. Doesn't even look like the people who are in the book, by the way. Anyways, prompt number 8 is a book you have read more than once. There are many. I think there are only 2 books that I have read multiple times, okay? So, 2 books that I have read the most. I never really like remember. I've definitely lost sight of like how many times I've read each. Anyway, the first one that I have, if you guys follow me, you'll know the one I'm going to show you, is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is also a book that I grab when I'm like feeling low and I want to pick me up, or like I feel like I'm in a reading slump and I feel like I need something to reignite my love and remind me why I love reading so much. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I don't know what it is. It's just such a comfort read. I've definitely read this book at least 4 or 5 times. This is basically a romance between the first son of the United States and the Prince of Wales. It's set in like an alternate timeline where essentially maybe like Hillary Clinton had won the election, like the character's inspired by her. And then we've got her son, Alex, and then the Prince of Wales, who is Henry. The 2 of them start out as these rivals. The book opens with a royal wedding. Both of them have obviously been invited and they don't get along. Basically, the 2 of them get into like a physical altercation at the wedding and they destroy a $75,000 wedding cake. When this happens, you know, both of their like respective teams are like, you guys need to sort it out and you need to like work on your image. You need to be friends because the public can't know that you guys hate each other. So then they start having this like fake Instagrammable friendship, which then turns into so much more. It's an incredible love story and there's so much heart there, but like the friendships in this book, like I literally feel like some of the scenes and like the parties and the karaoke nights and everything, I feel like I'm there, I'm part of their friendship group. And I always describe this book the way it is written on the back. Entertainment Weekly said it feels like fireworks in the sky and glitter in your hair. That's how this book feels. So I love this book a lot. And of course, this one that I'm about to show you is one that like, I don't know why I always reach for this one. I love the story so much, but like I always say, like when I read the opening line of this book, I just like get super emotional and I like cry. But I have reread Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn probably 6 or 7 times. I have read this multiple times. I have watched the TV season multiple times, but I still come back to this story. I don't know what it is. I think I mentioned one of my other videos too. I've got multiple copies of this book and each time I do go and reread it, I annotate it and just add more and more and more to like how I think and, you know, analyzing the characters and whatever. Yeah, this is book number 4 in the Bridgerton series. You can read them out of order if you would like to. They are interconnected standalones. This follows Colin Bridgerton and Penelope Featherington. Oh, sounds weird saying her last name. They have been friends for a very, very long time when essentially like Colin was riding a horse and Penelope's bonnet flew off and hit him in the face and he fell off into the mud, and they've become very good friends. And Penelope has always been in love with Colin. She just feels like he never sees her and he'll never see her in that way. There's like a little bit of a mystery element too, secret identities and ABCDEFG. Yeah, I don't know. I really just love this book so much. Again, it's such a comfort read for me and I will always go back to it. Number 9, we have Find a Book with Only Words on It. Oh my God, how am I gonna do that? Okay, starting the clock. Only words, only words, only words. That's so hard. Like no people or anything. Okay. I'm gonna go for this one. With 7 seconds to spare. Okay. If a book only had words on the front cover, I think we'd be in a bit of trouble. But I found a book that only has like the very tiniest bit of landscape at the bottom. No people, no birds, no animals, no flowers or anything, blah, blah, blah. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. As you can see, there's only a tiny little bit of like greenery down the bottom here. But yeah, no people and no sky and ABCDFG. This is, in my opinion, the best Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I haven't read Daisy Jones and the Six yet, okay, but I've read most of the others. I truly feel like this one does not get enough love and it's so good. So this book follows Emma and Jesse. They are high school sweethearts and they're married, and essentially Jesse goes on like this trip one day in this private like plane or jet, and the plane goes down and is like presumed missing and Jesse is presumed dead. So it sort of follows Emma's like grief period, trying to like, you know, sort through that, move on and like and eventually like find love again. She does end up reconnecting with one of her childhood friends. I forgot his name. Sam. Emma obviously like works through her grief enough that she feels like she's ready to move on and love again. So her and Sam do end up getting like engaged and together, and on the night that they're celebrating like their engagement, Emma gets a phone call and it's from Jesse, who is presumed dead, and he says, I'm alive, I've been alive for ages, I've just been like stuck on this island and I'm coming back for you. So it follows this like insane and like ridiculous decision that Emma has to make between choosing the love of her life, the man she married, or, you know, her new love. And it's so sad, you guys. Like, it's literally the saddest book. I cried so hard, and it's really good. So please, if you've read any other TJRs, you need to read this one, because like this one's just so good. Prompt number 10 is the most recent book you bought, and I know exactly what this is because I just like literally bought it and read it, so I don't even need to set a timer. Okay, it was literally right behind me. Okay, I have Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. It's finally in my hands, you guys. How many times did you guys hear me talking about this book and like sticking a photo of it up because I was just so excited for it? And finally in Australia, physical pub day was on the 12th, so a couple of days ago. I literally bought this book, came home, read it overnight, and like pretty much in less than a day I read this book, because like less than 24 hours I read it, because I just needed it, wanted to like put it into my veins, you know, the whole thing. So I showed you guys Swift and Saddled before. It's still part of that same Rebel Blue Ranch series. This is book number 3, okay? And this follows Teddy and Gus. And this is like, if you guys have read Heartless by Elsie Silver, same canvas, different paint. You know what I mean? It's like so good. So basically Gus has a little girl called Riley, and him and his ex, they weren't even like married or anything, his ex Cam like share custody of her, but Cam has gone to another state for a new job, and basically he is going to be taking sole care of Riley over the summer. She's 6 years old. She's just like wild fun. Gus also runs this ranch. He's pretty much in charge of everything on the ranch. He's got to make sure, you know, everybody wakes up and does this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G until the end of the day, and of course take care of his daughter. So he sort of is at this point when we open the book where he, you know, is struggling, and he like forgets to pick Riley up from soccer practice. So his family sit him down and they go, look, we really think you should look at getting some help over the summer, because we're happy to help you, of course, but you know, someone who can be more attentive. So think about getting like a nanny or a babysitter. And then you've got Teddy, okay? And Teddy is Gus's little sister's best friend, and Teddy is literally, and in this book she's always described as being a lion. She's wild, larger than life. She's very like freewheeling, doesn't give a crap about what anybody says. She is just so fun. She loves fashion. She loves like sewing and being artistic and things like that too. And the kicker here is that Gus and Teddy hate each other. They have always hated each other, never gotten along. When Gus forgets to pick Riley up from soccer practice, nobody else can, so his sister gets Teddy to pick her up, and they end up having like a really good time together. His family see that and they go, hey, why don't you hire Teddy to work with you over the summer? We'll work for you and look after Riley over the summer. And then we get a lovely boss and the nanny and forced proximity. I love this. This is pretty much like the recipe for a 5-star book. Is that what I've told you? Like boss and nanny, forced proximity, and like small town cowboy romance. Absolutely stunning. I loved this book so much, you guys, and I cried so much. Be prepared. This book is so emotional. Like I was crying for every single character, and there's also a storyline in this that I wasn't expecting, and I just was like so emotional the whole time. It was really gorgeous. I ended up giving this 5 stars, and as I told you guys, like I'll tell you more about it in my like monthly reading wrap up, but yeah, that's my most recent book. Prompt number 11 is find a retelling. Now I know where my retellings are, and they're on a shelf outside my room, so I'm giving myself 30 seconds and I'm gonna go get one, and I'll be right back. Oh god, stop. Does anybody else get triggered by their alarm sound? I'm like, oh, I hate it. Anyways, guys, okay, I went out and I found my book, okay? So I've got Hexed by Emily McIntyre, okay? It was basically on the top of my Never After series pile, and to be honest, it's the one that I can remember the plot of the most. I can remember the feeling of the others, and I love them all, but this is the one that I read the most recently, and yeah. So Hexed is part of a series of inspired reimaginings and retellings of our favorite childhood movies where the villain gets the girl or the villain gets the guy, okay? So we've got like Peter Pan, we've got Lion King, Aladdin, Wizard of Oz, all these things, and then this one here follows The Little Mermaid, but we've got Eric and we've got Ursula in that sort of dynamic there. So you've got Enzo and you have Vanessa, and essentially this is like mafia, and Enzo is engaged to Aria. Ariel, and Arya is Vanessa's cousin. Okay, so there's a little bit of like a forbidden element to this. Enzo and Arya's engagement though is more like an engagement of convenience, like it's a business arrangement, so they're not really in love or anything like that. But basically when Enzo and Arya come to meet all of Arya's family and Enzo and Vanessa meet, there is an instant connection and there's a reason why, and the flirting and the banter is just insane. If you guys love dark romance and you love a bit of a retelling, more modern mafia, you will love this entire series. But this one was really, really good as well. Super strong and a really great conclusion to the series. Number 12, a book you didn't finish. Oh my god, that's hard because guys, I pretty much donate every single book that I DNF. Let me look and I'll see if I can find any. Actually, I found one because it's part of a series and I have the rest of the series. I DNF this one, but because they're interconnected, I still might like the rest of them and I don't want to get rid of this one in case I want to display them all together. Anyways, I have Priest by Sierra Simone, okay? I don't know what this series is called exactly, but it is interconnected standalones. There are 3, I believe. So there's Priest, Sinner, and Saint. These covers are so gorgeous, and I literally was like hearing so many good things about this, and I was so excited to read it. It is a dark romance. It is a romance between a priest and I believe like an ex-spicy dancer. Yeah, I just like was literally trying to read this book for like 7 months. Like that's just not right and that's not okay. And I DNF'd this book with like 70 pages to go because I felt like it was like pulling teeth trying to read this, and I felt like if I pushed myself to try and finish it, I just like was going to be in a huge reading slump. I could not get into this book. I could not get along with the relationship. It was just cringy, like, and I like a lot of weird stuff in books, and this was just like not it. Like I didn't enjoy it. I don't know if it was just like the time, and look, it took me 7 months to try and read this, so I don't think it's like, you know, the time that I read it. I tried multiple times to read it. I just didn't like it. However, I've heard that the other books are really good in this series, especially Sinner, so maybe I'll give them a try next year, but this was just not correct. Okay, next I have prompt 13, which is find a book that takes place in the earliest time period. Ooh. Well, I mean, look, I've already used that Jack Jackson builder thing, but what? I'm thinking I'm gonna have to go for a run. Set the timer, let's look. At first, I thought it was gonna be Clockwork Angel from Cassandra Clare, but this is set in 1878 in England. This series is so good as well, guys. Like best characters, best world building, like the magic in this, it's just so gorgeous. But the book that actually is the oldest, like in terms of like setting in my collection, is Queen Charlotte. I've talked about this quite a lot, but this one is actually set way earlier than I thought it was going to be set. And this book starts on the 7th of September 1761. So that's really long time ago. So yeah, for those who aren't aware of this, this basically is the backstory of Queen George and King Charlotte. Queen George and King Charlotte, not Queen Charlotte and King, what? Cut. From the Bridgerton universe, and it shows like how they met. It was a marriage of convenience, or like an arranged marriage. Yeah, very beautiful story, very heartbreaking, very touching. You will cry when you read this, so bring tissues. Prompt number 14 is a book that is also a movie. Oh my god, okay, 30 seconds. They're all TV shows. Oh, never mind. Okay, I found one. Why was that so hard? I don't know why. All of the books like that I have on my shelf are all TV adaptations, funnily enough. I couldn't think of, oh, I had the Hunger Games, but you know, it's fine. We have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which funnily enough came out this year. For those who don't know, this is a very heavy story, so please check the trigger warnings. It does follow themes and topics surrounding domestic violence, so be aware of that before you go into it. This follows Lily Blossom Bloom, and it sort of spans her life over a couple of months, and also years, like a past present sort of time frame. That's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil anything. For anybody who did watch the movie, let me know in the comments what you guys thought, because I actually think this was one of the best adaptations. I was very concerned when I heard that this book was becoming a film because of the content in here. There was so much room for it to go wrong, and I was like, gosh, if they don't do this tastefully and in the right way, this could be cringy and wrong and just like just not the right book to make into a film. However, I actually think that the film was phenomenal. There was so much detail from the book. They only left out the tiniest little minuscule things that you would only know if you like analyze the book. But I truly think it was done so well. And you know how I know this, guys? I went and watched this movie with my aunt, and sitting next to her there was a couple around my age. It was a guy and a girl, and it got to a very pivotal scene at the end of this movie. And if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And basically, very pivotal scene, one of the very last scenes in the film. My auntie told me this afterwards, that during that scene, that couple sitting next to her, the male in that couple was crying, like had tears down his face. And I think like that's so beautiful, because I think that's exactly what the movie was made to do, and it's to spread awareness, especially to men. I'm very sorry, but I think it's so important that a man was actually moved that much by the message of this story and of the movie, and I think that's exactly what the movie was made to do. So I think it was just done so well. Prompt number 16 is a book written this year. Oh gosh, what was a book that came out this year? Guys. Okay, sit down, get your pen and paper and a laptop, something to take notes on. Take note of this book, okay? Here's just a side note before I even talk about this. I just saw this morning that Goodreads released their you know, the Goodreads Choice Awards thing that they do every year. I looked at the categories this year, and I just have to say, Wild Love is nominated for an award for like the best romance book this year. This was also released in the same year. Elsie just does not stop, okay? Wild Love and Wild Eyes were both released in this year. This was better than Wild Love, and so many people will tell you the exact same, okay? This is part of the Rose Hill series, okay? This is book number 2. This whole series is about single parents, okay? So good, like interconnected. So here we have West and we have Skylar. Skylar is a singer. She's very famous, and her whole life her parents have sort of controlled her image and the type of music that she puts out. And essentially she gets to this place where she's in burnout. She's had enough. She wants to break free of that. So she goes to Rose Hill, this small town, country town, to record music that is written by herself but also feels like her own voice and her own authenticity, right? As she's driving into this town, she decides to get out of her car when she sees a bear, and she pulls her phone out and she's like, I'm gonna film this bear for my social media. And then this grumpy cowboy comes over and he goes, you probably shouldn't do that. That's really not very smart. She goes, don't tell me what to do. And then they get into this little predicament involving the bear, and yep, and that's West, okay? And West is a single dad. He's got 2 beautiful children that I just love so much, and basically it's like a little scenario where it's like a little bit forced proximity, and this is the most gorgeous and heartwarming and touching story you will ever read, okay? This came out this year, I would like to say in like August or something. This book was so good, you guys. I cried so much, and you know what? If you guys have read this, I have eaten so many pickle grilled cheese sandwiches because of this book. If you know, you know. Okay, prompt number 17 is the longest book I own. Okay, well, I mean, I think we saw that before, okay? I'm not pulling out that chunker before. But other than that, it's got to be like a Sarah J. Maas book, doesn't it? It is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. I have not even read this series, you guys, and that's so embarrassing. I know, but I'm trying to read Throat of Glass first. I've read Akatar, as you can see. I'm trying to read Throat of Glass first, and then I will get to this. I do have all of the, very fortunately, have all of the original books, so they all match, but I have not read. This one is 835 pages, okay? I know that this is like still a fantasy romantasy world, but I believe this one is like more modern. What do they call those, like urban fantasies? But yeah, I mean, unfortunately can't tell you too much. It feels very nice in my hands though. I kind of would like to just read it because it's so pretty, but sorry, that was a fail. Guys, I just realized that I skipped one, and that's so embarrassing. Oh, triple 2. Find a hardcover without the jacket. Now, I never ever have a hard jacket. What? I think it's actually snack time. I think if you display a hardback without the jacket, you're insane, unless like the inside is actually beautiful. Sometimes the actual inside of the dust jackets like aren't that cute. And I'm trying to think of, oh, hold on. See, that's ugly. But I think from memory, this has a really pretty inside. Oh, it does. Okay, this is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I love this series so much. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's basically like if the Hunger Games met like a vampire realm. Super spicy, So good, so easy to digest and get through. Like I read this in a day and it's quite a big book. Anyways, this beautiful edition has a serpent and a snake down the front. I could have done this for an animal on the cover, but I kind of forgot about it. This one obviously has the serpent on the side, but also the naked hardback is gorgeous. I don't know how well you guys can see this. Look at that. That is so pretty. You've got the crown, you've got a serpent on there. It's this beautiful, like, oh, it actually looks so stunning on camera too. The spine just says the serpent and the wings of night. And on the back, it says never trust, never yield, always guard your heart. Which is so gorgeous. Like I would display that on its own. I think I might, because this spine is gorgeous too, but also like that is just stunning. I love. Please read this series. Not enough people know and love it. It's so good, guys. The next prompt, I've forgotten numbers at this point, but it says the shortest book that I own. So I'm looking at Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. That was actually quite easy to find. I don't believe I have anything smaller than this. So this is Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. This is part of the Heartstopper universe, if you guys are familiar. However, this one is not a graphic novel. It's actually a written novel. Like it's a proper novel, okay? There's words, can you see that? This book is 150 pages, 57 pages, sorry, 157 pages. This book basically follows Nick and Charlie, if you're familiar with the Heartstopper universe. It follows them before Nick goes away to university. So it sort of covers a bit of a discussion between the two boys about whether or not their relationship is strong enough to withstand the test of time and last past their high school years, because they're sort of starting to see that all of their other friends around them who are in relationships, their relationships are starting to break down as well. So I really love this. I think it really shows like the maturity between these two characters who are only like 16 and 17 respectively, how important communication is. So yeah, that's kind of short, kind of it. Not about aptitude. Prompt number 19, I have a book with multiple POVs. So I'm assuming that means like more than two, right? Because obviously a lot of books, especially romance books, are like dual POV. Do I have a book that's got multiple POVs? Guys, I think I've failed. I need to do a Google search. My brain does work. I didn't even need to Google for this one. Okay, I found one. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Okay, this is book 2 in the Letters of Enchantment duology, and I actually like this one better than Divine Rivals. Okay, so sort yourselves out. I can't tell you guys too much about what this is about, but it does follow Iris and Roman. Okay, so the first book sort of follows this concept. There are two rivaling journalists set in a time like a historical sort of time where the gods are at war with each other, and these two are like vying. I don't know, they work at the same publishing house, and they're just like, you know. This one was really sad, but what's really smart about this is I forgot there's actually 3 point of views, because in this one you're getting the point of view of both Roman and Iris, but there's also a 3rd point of view from Enver, who is one of the gods. I liked this duet. I just think this one was like probably way better than the first one. The final prompt that I have is a book that I'll read before the end of the year. Now don't hold me to this, okay? I know, but let me go find one. Can I show you guys something? I've been looking for this bookmark for a whole week, okay? I turned my room upside down for it, okay? I couldn't find it, and it was sitting on top of my TBR. Like this. Anyway, the book that I promised you guys, and I've said this a few times, but I definitely will be reading Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh before the end of the year. It's just like not a have to, it's a must. Like I must read this. I must know what the hype is about. I must be part of the gang. This is a very, very long book. Actually, this might be the longest book that I own. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. This is a rugby romance set at a high school, I'm pretty sure. I've read the synopsis of this many times, so you guys probably get the drift, the gist. I've lost my mind, guys. It's been a very long day. But yeah, you guys will always be the first to know when I start reading these really anticipated books. So just keep your eye out on all my socials. I promise you guys, you'll be getting this before the end of the year. Promise, promise, promise. Alrighty, you guys, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking through all the way to the end if you did. I really, really appreciate it. Have you guys read any of the books that I pulled out today? Did you like this cute little scavenger hunt that we did? If you did, let me know. We can do another part. I can find some more prompts. But I don't know, I thought it was a little bit of fun just to break up the content for this month. So yeah. Anyway, guys, as always, if you'd like to, you are more than welcome to follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. I will leave my handles on the screen and in the description. And of course, if you'd like to, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel, and make sure that you are hitting that notification bell. That way you're notified each time a brand new video goes up. Thank you guys so much for stopping by again. I really, really appreciate it. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a lovely day or a lovely night, and I will see you all next time. Bye.